Welcome to the new series Modern Chess Masterpieces. We'll be seeing some of the greatest game of 21st century. Now, when I consider greatest game or best game, it does not necessarily mean it has to be flawless. There could be ups and downs, there could be mistakes, but there will be some beauty. There will be some aesthetically pleasing ideas, maneuvers, some absolute brilliancy. So let's get started. The very first game that I'm going to show, it's one of my absolute favorite game. I have never seen something like this. And interestingly, this game is not so popular. In fact, this game was not available in Mega database for long time. It was a secret match between Nigel Short and Ruslan Ponomaryov as a part of Ponomaryov's preparation for his match against Kasparov, which eventually did not happen. Now, Nigel and Ruslan played a secret match, and the game was never ever published until a certain point. This game was shown to me by Nigel himself when I visited him in Greece, and I was totally amazed with the brilliant ideas, the complications in the middle game, in the end game. Only recently it is available in Mega. You can check this game, but still it is not as famous as many other games. Let's take a look. Let's see why this game is so close to my heart and why do I like this so much. Let's begin. So the game started with Ivan's Gambit. Nigel played Ivan's Gambit number of times, so it was not a surprise. Takes c3. Yeah, the standard way. Yeah, we attack the bishop. We want to play d4, and after bishop a5, d4. At this point, there are two ideas mainly. One is to take when white goes queen b3, attacking here. Black plays queen e7. White goes for rapid development. That's one direction. The other direction, which is playing d6 here, this is known as the conservative defense. The idea here is when white goes queen b3, which happened in the game, attacking the pawn on f7, black plays queen d7. Now the queen on d7 might seem odd, but black has a very straightforward idea. No matter what white plays, I mean whether white takes here or plays knight bd2 or plays castle, black's idea is more or less straightforward when he wants to go bishop to b6 and hitting this with knight a5. Now we see the point behind keeping the queen on d7. There will be no checks available on the diagonal. So anyway, all this has been played before. So d takes e5, bishop b6. Yeah, there are again moves. White could play castle, a4, and as it happened in the game, knight bd2, knight a5, queen to c2. Earlier Nigel had played queen b4, but yeah, this is also a very standard move. Takes, d5, once again the main move. Nothing unusual at this point, and the game kind of begins from here. It really gets very dynamic. Black is saying you are welcome to take this bishop, or if you want to dissolve center, you can do that. I will take, and if you take, I take. I have no problem. Sooner or later I'll develop this knight and I'm going to castle. Now this is the beginning of series of great moves. It starts with bishop g5, a very interesting approach. The idea is pretty straightforward. If black takes here, we go rook d1, attacking the queen and threatening checkmate on with rook d8 if the queen moves. Of course, the critical move is black does not have to take here, but black can first chase away this bishop and then go for d takes c4, which makes white's next move absolutely obligatory. Bishop to h4. So yeah, this game was played in 2003, and as I said, it was not available in database for a long time, but now if you search, you will get it in Megabase. Now black's ideal move at this point would have been g5, playing very principled, attacking the bishop, forcing white to take here, otherwise white loses the piece. So takes, bishop to g3, black takes here, and queen c6. This would have been a very normal way of playing, and black would have had a comfortable position. But Ruslan saw another possibility not to simplify the position, and he opts for the move queen to g4. Now he's saying, I removed my queen. By removing my queen, I'm actually threatening to take here, which once again sort of forces white to play, get his rook to d1. And obviously we don't want the rook on d1 with our king on e1. Black can take on g2 and then king becomes slightly vulnerable. So Nigel goes long castle and g5 was played. Now note this. This is move number 14 and the bishop has been attacked. Let's see for how many moves this bishop stays at this particular position. Time for a quick tactic training. At this point, I want you to pause the video for 5 minutes and come up with a solution for white. How would you like to continue? Alright, assuming you used your time wisely. Of course, white could not move the bishop because the knight is hanging. White does not want to take and simplify the position because then the king becomes weak, rook gets activated. So the move here is e6. What is the point? The point is we want to take here. When if black takes, we give a fork either way and the queen falls. In other words, this move stops both d takes c4 and g takes h4. And if let's say black takes with the pawn, then we put our knight here attacking the queen. Queen f4 check, very logical. Rook to d2. We still have knight g6 threatened, so d takes c4, attacking the queen, bringing the rook. And let's say we are threatening to play rook d8 because after the exchange, there is knight f7 when the h8 rook is falling. So black plays rook h7, and at this point computer says even a move like king b2 gives white clear advantage, which is not surprising when you see that this bishop does not move, the rook doesn't have good square, the knight cannot move because there is checkmate. Black is in some sort of a zugzwang. Okay, black can play h5, but we just go h3. Anyway, the game is far more interesting than this. Ruslan played the most logical move, bishop e6. He's one move away from long castling and then he's completely winning. So he takes d5, not giving the time. Bishop went to d7. If black takes on c4, we take and then rook comes to e1. The king is never going to escape. Bishop d7, rook he1 check, forcing black to go king to f8 as knight e7 runs into d6. King f8. So black's argument is still the same, that okay, these pieces are hanging and maybe we'll get one of them. Now the move that Nigel played at this point is not approved by the computer, and computer says there are two ways of winning, but I find the move played by Nigel is very logical, it's very human, and the move that was missed, both the moves, although the first moves were the starting was pretty logical, but it's very difficult to find the continuation. So one of the way to win is to play knight f e5. Understandable. We get some sort of a fork. But queen f4 check. It's very easy to miss that it's not king b2, most natural move, but we have to play rook to d2. Still attacking the bishop. And after bishop to f5, white must find the following move, bishop g3, attacking this queen. And only now it gets clear that after bishop c2, bishop takes knight d7 check first, king g7, and when we take on f4, there is no rook hanging on d1, and the position turns out to be, well, almost winning. However, the best move according to machine is knight ce5. Rook e4 was played in the game. And this I believe is extremely difficult, and I have no doubt that Nigel saw this move. And then after queen f4 check, king b2, bishop a4, it is possible to stop the variation right here and missing the following, the computerized way, to play queen d3, and after bishop d1, suddenly this bishop harasses the king on f8, which does not come very naturally to a human mind. It goes like knight d7 check, king to g7, and now switching the diagonal by attacking this queen and then coming to e5. And then it turns out black is unable to play f6 because we take, and then rook e7 is some sort of mate in 6 or mate in 3, whatever. Anyhow, in the game rook e4 was played. Now the queen is attacked and queen is lacking square. For example, if it goes to, let's say, h5, then we play knight to e5 when bishop f5 runs into g4. So Ruslan goes queen f5, g4, we attack the queen again. If you move to f6, then again knight f e5 happens. And note that white has saved one piece, so he just needs to save another one, just one single piece. But Ruslan goes queen h7. Black has two important threats. One is he's trying to take here. The other one, he's trying to play knight f6, exchanging the queens. Now we cannot afford to exchange queens. Nigel plays knight f e5, attacking the d7 bishop. The point is now if you play knight f6, we first take and now we go bishop to g3. And let's say now if you come back knight f6, it's possible to take, and this time we don't mind getting into endgame because we have saved our bishop. The c7 pawn is falling. The d7 pawn will become a monster. So after knight e5, bishop e8. Black is saying still this is attacked, and if you play bishop g3, knight f6, black actually takes over now. Once the queens are gone, this will be very difficult position to, positionally it will get into a lot of trouble. And also after takes there is bishop a4, so I'll not be surprised if it is just losing. Anyways, the move that was played in the game was queen to e2. Another spectacular move, once again allowing g takes h4. The point of queen e2 is it gets away from the pin. So for example, after g takes h4, we go d6, threatening d7. C takes d6, knight into d6, threatening to take here, giving a check. This king is dead. And with the pieces, the kingside arm is sleeping. The rook is out, the queen on h7 is dead, the position is collapsing. However, the question becomes, what's wrong with knight f6? Now this is under attack, this is under attack. How is white going to defend? Time for another test. Take 10 minutes, pause the video, try to find the best move. There are two ways to do it. White can include knight into b6 if he wants, but the move that was played in the game, without inclusion or with inclusion, white goes rook f4. Now how many times have you seen a move like this? Not getting away from the fork, but actually getting into the fork. We will take the knight on f6 either with the bishop or with the rook. I have never seen something like this before. It's such a spectacular move. So black plays queen g7. Black says, wait, it's still under attack. How are you going to defend? Again, time for a tactics training. Pause the video for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and try to figure out. Truly in the spirit of Ivan's gambit, white plays the move d6. Once again, allowing both the recaptures. Now the point is gh4, d7 wins. And also after g takes f4, d7, knight d7. We don't take with the knight. The trick is to take with the rook. When after bishop d7, knight d7, king g8, this gets into some sort of mate, some sort of mating mate. After rook f4, the move king g8 was played. Now d7, going for the bishop. So mass exchanges happens. G takes f4, move 25. Remember, g5, the move was played on move 14. For like 11 moves, this bishop was staying on h4 and black could not take it. I find this aesthetically very pleasing. So g takes h4, and at this point Nigel could just play simple rook e7, and just looking at these pieces one can say black is dead, and computer says white is clearly winning. But after playing so much of romantic chess, Nigel still continued to play so. Now he played the move queen f3, assuming that after bishop d7, knight d7, black is completely doomed because of knight f6 check or bishop f6. Either way, black is lost, except for one single reason. Another training, pause 5 to 10 minutes, try to figure out what is black's best move. Black controls this f6 square in a fantastic manner. First he gives bishop e3 check, and suddenly it is clear that we cannot take due to queen takes f6. So if the king goes to c2, then queen g6 check happens. So king b2 was played, and now another spectacular move, bishop to d4. The point is, if white takes, then after queen takes d4, white is losing the knight on d7. King b3 was played, and black completely escaped at this point. In fact, he is better. Takes. Now we get to an endgame where black has no trouble, but I can totally imagine both players must be having less time because, such a complicated game, and this is move 31. Rook e8 was played, knight e5, and at this point, a bit of impulsive move by black. There was no need to give the rook immediately, and black could start by playing h5. But once again, one can understand there must be time pressure issues. This was a proper match with classical time control, but in such a complex game, we are approaching 40th move. So rook e5, knight e5, king g7, knight d3 attacking the pawn. And at this point, really it was very, very important for black to play h5, forcing g5, and then activate the king when only black can be better. Although I believe the game should eventually end in a draw. This did not happen. In the game, f3 was played. So bishop g3 attacking the pawn, rook to e8, controlling the rook with knight e5. and taking the pawn back. b5, and this is 30th move. I really like this move, although again not computer's top choice, but very human. Particularly these moves are very good in time pressure. h3, getting away from any kind of attack, not ruining the position, keeping full control. Rook e2, knight to d2. Now probably at this point c4 was wiser. Black played a5. Now this rook must be chased away. It's possible to do it from d3, but Nigel felt in future c4 could come. So he chooses a different path. And now another move. I want you to pause once again for 5 to 10 minutes and figure out how white should play. So this time it's a bit technical. Where do we want our bishop? Just one single question. Once you ask this question, immediately it gets clear the bishop should be here, aiming at both the pawns. And that's it. That's all we needed. Once again c4 was to be played, but king g6 happened, bishop e3. Now the bishop is stabilized. Rook e5. The job for the king was done, so king is now coming back, attacking the rook, and now knight needs to come to f4, so making that square. We are ready to get to f4. c4 was played. After c4, black is threatening to play b4, so king c3. And it's important to note, if black would have started with b4, then knight d3 was important, giving double threat. So c4 was played, and now knight, first king c3, trying to get here, and after f5, knight g2. Already black is in trouble. Black tried something very concrete here which does not work. Rook d3 happened, and after king b4, we are threatening on knight f4 and also trying to take the pawn on b5. So f into g4. Maybe king f7 was a better try, but after fg4, this endgame was reached, which is again very, very rich endgame and very complicated. If the pawn would be on a3, this is a draw. But it wins only because the pawn is on a2. Why? Let's see. So king c3, king e4, bishop c5. In the game, king d5 happened, but before that we'll see one variation to explain why the pawn on a2 wins. Let's say king f3. Take here, and takes on g3, king c3. Now, once again, if the pawn would be on a3, this is a well-known draw. I mean, at this point, the problem becomes black just stays here, and as soon as white takes and tries to take this pawn, black needs to get to c8. Now, the only one kind of position that one should remember, after a lot of maneuver, let's say white gets king here and bishop here with black king here. For example, if white gets a position like this, at this point there is only one move, and it's extremely important to know that you need to reach this square, and the shortest route is like that. So it would be a blunder to play king e2 when we have to again go via this square, and then white wins. You will see white wins just by one tempo. That's the winning plan. However, if we would have played king g2 at this point, then we are in time to get to c8 when white takes. We go to c8 and we come to b7. Anyhow, the pawn was on a2, which means white is just able to take this pawn right away. The reason, with the pawn on a3, we cannot stalemate black king. Right now, white is targeting. Imagine a position where white has king on f5, bishop on g5, and black has king on h5. At this point, black will be forced to play a3, and then we go bishop e7 and collect the pawn. So that's the idea. And that's the reason. The endgame is still more complicated, but this is the main reason why white wins. Still, executing this from here is not easy. You can check it in TableBase and see that it still requires a lot of precision. But anyhow, that is the fundamental point. In the game, king d5 happened, bishop e7, king e4. But this time, white is not willing to give this pawn, so this pawn stays alive. And after king e4, now Nigel is absolutely sure that this pawn will not be gone, so he plays a3. King d4, and slowly zugzwang starts taking place. King b3, but okay, we protect the pawn. King has to come to c3. Now king c4 is bishop b4. So b4 was played. But white gets this pawn, and yeah, he will protect this pawn. He will actually collect this, he'll collect this, and he wins the game. I hope you enjoyed this game. And yeah, this was played in Yalta, match 8, so 8th round on 2003. For me personally, this game was fascinating in a number of ways, starting from when black played the move queen g4, and the pinnacle was when white goes rook f4 and d6, and also the endgame, white wins end of the day because he did not play a3, the pawn was on a2. Alright, so that will be it for this game. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.